Spanning now 438 miles away, it's the only podcast that broadcasts that between Lubbock and College Station. Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Fifth Quarter Podcast with yours truly, George Coffey, Desmond McLaughlin. We are back in the college setting, let us ourselves adjusted. Football is over. It's all about the off season, the transfer portal, just about everything you can think about. And that brings us to March Madness. But before the madness, you got to get to college hoops. Glad to have you with us on this episode number 15, as our national championship reaction show does not count as an episode to the fifth quarter. We are going to make this one pretty quick. We've gotten some feedback that our podcast may be a little too long, so we're going to do the best we can and hope that possibly just keep it going. It is Friday.
I mean, who could blame us, George? We love talking about sports. We could do this all day long if we had the time.
I mean, you can say that, yeah, with Stephen A. Smith, going on and on. We can probably do it too. It is Friday, January the 25th, which means tomorrow is the SEC Big 12 Challenge, and we'll talk about that more. But Desmond, he is the basketball guru between the two of us, so we are going to do our podcast rather set up more by Desmond, and Desmond has to start off quarter one. You'll get the gist. Quarter two, keep going. Quarter three, quarter four will be our game picks that we always do. Those aren't going anywhere. And then we'll have an OT section. That will be our small school section, unless that changes. We'll see here and there. We're not going to have any Texas Tech or A&M based feedback today. Next week, probably, as those Texas Tech is ranked. So I guess it's kind of karma for the football season. Texas Tech is ranked. A&M is not. In fact, A&M is 13th in the SEC currently, just ahead of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is winless. We have one win. So, without further ado, Desmond, I think we're going to start off in the top 25, and I'm going to hand the baton over to you.
Thank you, George. All right, so a lot of things happened here in the top 25, but as you said, it's still a little early in the season, and honestly, I don't really think the rankings matter until you get to bracketology. That's when everything matters. This is everything just leading up to the big month.
It's kind of like a big version of the preseason top 25 in football.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The top 15 teams are obviously the ones that make it. But yeah, based off looking at the top 25, I'm just surprised. Tennessee coming out of nowhere, just taking that number, because everyone thinks Duke's the team, right?
With Zion, yeah. RJ Barrett.
Duke's the number one team, and here we have Tennessee being number one team coming from the SEC, which is also, I made a point that ACC is usually they're usually the basketball powerhouse conference, correct?
Correct. Yes, go ahead.
But we have 5 teams from the SEC ranked in the top 25.
Oh, so you're saying it's not necessarily the powerhouse anymore?
Well, no, I'm not saying ACC is not the powerhouse. They still are, but I'm saying SEC is. I think they're evolving. They're not just a football. They're not just a football conference. Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Georgia. You got all the good college football teams, and now we see them transform into a college basketball conference.
And I agree. I agree with that. Amazing. But I think also, I saw a few opinions and different things going around. Yes, you say Tennessee kind of made a magical appearance up to.
But they only have one loss.
But here's the deal: they need to get more respect. Mm-hmm. If you compare, in my opinion, Tennessee, Duke, and Michigan, which right now are 1, 2, and Michigan I think is what, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Tennessee has been playing mistake-free basketball. All right. They've had their close encounters. I mean, we could talk about the game against Vanderbilt, but
all teams do.
But also, you have to look at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has they've taken every team in the SEC that they've played to the wire. They took Kentucky to the wire. They were up at halftime to them. They took. They're probably going to beat A&M for all I know. What I'm trying to say is Tennessee's just been dominant. And when you see a dominant team like that, last year it was Virginia. The year before that, it was Duke again. The year before that, it was Michigan State to a certain degree, or North Carolina. You see those blue bloods. Here, Tennessee is trying to make its name for itself again. Mm-hmm. And as much as we could say they could be a one and done because those three teams I named all either left in the first or second round. I just think that they need more respect. They're going to make it. They're going
Yeah.
to win the SEC. They're going to probably make it to the. They're probably going to make it to the Elite Eight. I mean, if we're talking here,
I'm not trying to bash on you because I obviously you're really feeling Tennessee right now, aren't you?
I mean, I'm SEC country, baby. I've got to.
I know. Okay, but I don't want to make the same mistake I did with Clemson. Saying the strength of schedule because I was looking earlier. I was like, how is Tennessee like? How they only have one loss? Because they haven't played anybody. They played. Oh my gosh, who was it? They played three ranked teams, and one of those was I believe Gonzaga, who they lost to, who's a good team. So they beat Louisville and they
Purdue.
beat did they?
I'm pretty sure they beat Purdue in one of the tourneys.
Oh, tourney. I was just gonna very schedule. They beat Louisville and they beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga's a good win. Louisville, not so much. But
How's the technical difficulties here?
I get excited when I'm talking about basketball, George. But I'm not trying to bash them. Great team. I'm just saying like I'm not gonna say it because that's exactly what I said about Clemson doing football and look what they did.
Yeah, I agree with I think you're right, but you also have to remember the fact that we see these teams kind of just come up and look at look at A&M a few years ago. Remember when they were regular season champs with in the SEC? They lost to Kentucky in the SEC tournament championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay, they got the 3 seed, or they got a 3 seed. A&M did in the tourney. And they went on to the Sweet 16. People really didn't think they were going to even get past the round of 32 with that whole, dramatic against Northern Iowa, that huge comeback in the last minute. But what I'm trying to say is those teams, especially from the SEC, they surprise you. And so I'm curious to see what Tennessee's going to do. And as we get towards the very end of the season, the last week or so, mid-February, and we get to the the conference tournament, not championship, conference tournament. It'll be interesting to see. And I don't know. I think Auburn could make a run for their money. Kentucky too. Mississippi State even, you could throw them in there. But I just think Tennessee there's a reason why they're number one right now. And that's because Duke is kind of, I don't want to say plateaued, but there's a point where you kind of have to balance it with who's played better teams, but also who is truly number one right now. It's the same argument we had in college football, 4 months ago. Who was really number one, Bama or Clemson? And of course, we probably should have said Clemson, give them some respect, but we didn't. With that being said, Desmond, I want to mention something. I don't know about Nevada in the top 10. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're a mid-major, right?
Yeah.
They lost to New Mexico by like 23. That's their only loss of the year. And you're telling me they're still in the top 10?
But Houston's not.
And Houston's not. And that's what I was going to say. But just think of it this way. Houston will get to the top 10. Houston will also get a 1, 2, or 3 seed in the tournament. Houston will also win the American Conference.
Okay, I agree with the American Conference and maybe the finishing top 10 just based off their record, but maybe I see him as a 3 seed.
This team,
I can see him as a 3 seed.
This team is 2 times better than the team that lost to Michigan on a buzzer beater last year. And that team probably could have gotten to the Sweet 16. If Michigan had to come back in a miracle, that team probably goes to the Elite 8, Sweet 16 Elite 8.
That'd be really cool for our city, George. I also want to make a quick comment before we head to next quarter. Speaking of Michigan, you know how I jumped on the bandwagon for Oklahoma and Kyler Murray, and I was right about both of them. Oklahoma's making the college playoffs. Kyler Murray in the Heisman, which, in fact, he's going to go play in the NFL. Questionable decision, but that's for another time. But speaking of Michigan State, I like them, George. I think they're going to make it to the Final Four. They're ranked 6th. They're on a 13-game win streak. I think that's the longest right now in the
Michigan or Michigan State?
Michigan State.
Okay.
Yes, and I was looking at the numbers, George. They're on a hot streak, George. They are on fire. So I just keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, I just don't. Even though I said that Tennessee needs more respect, I just can't oversee Duke. I just,
Can't.
if I had to name a national champion right now, it would be Duke. It
No,
would be Duke versus Tennessee in the national championship game, and Duke would win the national championship. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm gonna make my predictions next week. All right.
Let's move forward. Quarter two, right before halftime here. Zion Williamson. We're talking about key players. R.J. Barrett. I guess those are two from Duke. I don't know. I'll let you go on this side. I'm not a huge guy to take a look at players in college basketball. I just like to see who the big prospects are and who's going to get to the NFL or to the NBA rather.
Well, no, that's okay, George, because you're like you're more of a football guy. So well, basically, the big names. Zion Williamson. He's supposed to be the next LeBron. Averaging 22 points, 9 rebounds. But there are rumors about him because he had a couple of injuries, sat out that game against Florida State. And
because he got he got his eye got.
Yeah, but he's had a couple of injuries, and people have been talking about him sitting out the rest of the year because he's supposed to be the number 1 overall draft pick. But he said no, that he feels like he let his team down, so he's gonna play the rest of the season out.
And that's the thing I have against one and dones is that you could they could, if they all played chemistry with team chemistry and teamwork and really put the effort in, they could all win a national championship.
I think
that's why if you look at the last few years when Duke has had those star players and then they make an early exit in the tournament, they're putting their own careers ahead of winning a national championship.
Exactly.
And that's really sad because they're better than that.
Next week, we're going to talk about the one and done rule, and I'm going to explain to you why I don't like it. And then, R.J. Barrett, I honestly think he has more potential than Zion Williamson does.
I do too. I agree.
I honestly do.
Zion just dunks. Let's be honest. He dunks, rebounds, and he gets a few blocks here.
Yeah, and RJ, I feel like he's more versatile.
RJ Barrett's got a good 3-point.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a
when
good,
it hits. When it hits.
When it hits. He's good inside the paint. When he does drive inside. I mean, when you want a good all-around player who's complete on every facet of the court, look to the Canadian, R.J. Barrett.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also going to mention Dedrick Lawson from Kansas. He averages 20 points, 11 rebounds. Wow. But last player, you already know who I'm going to. You already know.
Who's it from Texas Tech?
Straight from Lubbock, Texas, George. Now, I must say that he needs to work on his free throws a little bit. But he's supposed to be top 15 in the draft. And
who is this?
Only Jarrett Culver. And he's a sophomore, right?
Who?
Culver?
Sure.
Yeah, he's a sophomore. So he's still pretty young, and he kind of reminds me. I know you're not gonna like it, but kind of like James Harden. But he doesn't really shoot. Okay, maybe not James Harden, but he drives in a lot. He gets like a contact.
Does he have a good Euro step?
Nah, it's just that he just drives in a ton. He has a good Euro step. Good hezzy. He's so long. It was amazing to watch.
Does he go to the draft? Unbiasedly.
No, I think he stays.
He
stays one more year, then leaves. Yeah.
We'll see. Well, we've reached halftime, and let's just take a moment here. This is the 5th quarter podcast, and we are breaking down college basketball as we reach towards the end of January of 2019. So we are, just taking a little bit of break. We're going to get back right into the action here, into quarter number 3. That's a 30-second halftime, just to recap.
Yeah.
Right now we've already talked about the fact that Tennessee needs more respect. R.J. Barrett might be better than Zion, and so, but there's a few more pointers, including Desmond. I'll let you take it away. Start with your first 2 or 3 pointers that we got. This is our section that we just 3 things in our mind that we think might come to fruition.
Here are my quick three things. First off, Big 12. I believe you made a comment saying that Kansas is winning the Big 12. I can see where you're coming from, but I disagree with that. I honestly believe that Texas Tech or Iowa State could take that from them.
Okay. No, I think we're going to see an interesting regular season winner, but Kansas is going to win the conference tournament.
We'll see. We'll talk in 2 weeks, George. When Kansas Texas Tech play, we'll talk.
Okay. Well, you know what? The last time they played each other, didn't Kansas take the win? Or have they not played each other yet?
They haven't played each other yet. Texas Tech has only lost to, I believe, Duke, Baylor, and Iowa State.
Okay, but
yeah,
also they shouldn't have lost to Baylor. So,
and they shouldn't have lost to Iowa State. Even though Iowa State's a pretty good team, they're pretty good. Second thing is Villanova. You know, they're always in the mix of it during the March Madness. Ranking might not be as good as they want it to be, but they're on a 7-game win streak, and based off the reports I'm reading, they look to be like they could end up being a top 10 team by the end of the season.
Villanova?
Yes, Villanova.
That is. I'm
what?
not a.
You don't like them?
It's not that I don't like them. I just don't think they should be ranked where they are right now. They're not as good as they have been, and they've been ranked higher because they were good, but right now they're overrated. And
I mean,
Marquette
George,
Marquette is going to come back and win the Big East.
They're undefeated in their conference right now.
So they've got five teams are on their tail with all with one loss, or 3 or 4 teams. So I just I don't know. Here's my 3. Or you said
6 games. Okay.
Well, I mean, before you get to your third thing, I've got 2 that. I mean, we already said the Big 12 one, which you kind of agreed on. I'm saying that ACC looks unstoppable. This ACC, I mean, I think the half. There's like 2 halves to the ACC. You have the top dogs, and you got the guys that are just getting beat by the top dogs that don't really care. And that conference tournament is going to be crazy. Like when I say crazy, like we could have, I don't know, watch like Georgia Tech or Florida State, somebody just come and just watch Georgia Tech or something like that, Florida State, come out of the blue and win the conference tournament. That would just be crazy. But and then I disagree with you. I think Michigan may not run away with the Big Ten, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be Michigan State who wins the Big Ten. It might be like Indiana, maybe, or maybe Iowa. Iowa might make a run. We'll see. Do you think what do you like about Michigan State that you don't think Michigan? Like what do you think that idea is there?
I think that the momentum they have will carry over. You know, when you start getting confidence, it just builds up, and then you're unstoppable.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think it'll interesting. It's kind of too early to start making some predictions about the conference tournaments. So that's closer as we get into February. But you know, these first few things we can look back and start laughing on when we were totally wrong or totally right. We can start gloating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as we reach the fourth quarter here in the last action, we've got our famous 5 for 5 in 5 with 5, our game picks. And Desmond, I'd like to tell you that you only got 2 upsets correct in the football. You finished 2-11. I finished 5-9. So currently I hold bragging rights over you. Now that could change with the basketball season, here. Feel free to make as many upset choices as you would like, so you can try to get back at me, whatever you want to, but I'm probably only going to make 1 or 2 because I'm not that risky. I currently lead. For those of you that did not get it in our reaction show, our bowl season little extravaganza that we did, Desmond and our good friend Hunter, who was our guest picker for that episode, tied with their bowl record, 17-15, and yours truly on the mic now. I went 24-8. So Desmond, looks like we all know who can pick college football better. But all I want to say is I got the Super Bowl incorrect. I said it was gonna be Saints Chiefs, and we got Rams Patriots.
I said Saints Patriots.
So okay, you got one part right.
Yeah.
And
I said Patriots are gonna win, so I can still get 50% right.
There you go. Do you think what do you think? They're gonna get the dub on in 2
Oh
weeks?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Big or small?
Whew.
15 points. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like 17. Well, no. I'll say 17, but like they'll kick like LA will try to come back at the end, it's like 10.
Okay. All right. Well, enough football talk. Let's get into the hoops action. So we've got, again, like I mentioned, we've got the SEC Big 12 Challenge on Saturday, tomorrow actually, because it's Friday, so it's Saturday. So most of our games are going to be those, but there are also some pretty good ones. So we're going to start with probably the game of the week, I guess. I mean, quite frankly, it's the game that people have been paying attention to. Kansas travels to Rupp Arena to face off against the Kentucky Wildcats. Top 10 matchup. Who you got, Desmond? Who do you got? We're gonna Desmond. Who do you have in the Kansas Kentucky game?
Well, George, Kansas under Coach Bill Self's coaching is 3-3. Gonna win this game.
And you know what? I said the same thing. Kansas by 8. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
No way. You said Kansas by 8?
I did.
What was your score?
I just said Kansas by 8. No scores. Okay. I'm not that.
I said Kansas by 8 too.
All right. Our next one, which is earlier in the day, Iowa State, 24th ranked Iowa State takes on Ole Miss and the 20th ranked Rebels in the Grove in Oxford. Desmond, this is my upset of the week. I'd like to see the Cyclones go in. They're going to take it to overtime. They're going to need overtime to complete the upset. Iowa State by 4. Who do you have?
I actually said Iowa State as well. Mariusz averages 20 points, which is he averages the most out of any Big 12 person. And he's a center. He's a big man, and he looks great. So I got Iowa State winning that game.
How much? Iowa State by?
5.
All right. Yeah, I said by 4. So it's going to be a close game. That will be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
I think that might I was going to say that, but I think this next game, Auburn, Mississippi State in Starkville, I think this might be a dark horse for the best game of the week. I think it will be better than the Kansas-Kentucky game, strictly because of these two teams. It's a conference game, SEC. Auburn's been really good as of late. Mississippi State's been started off really strong. They've kind of plateaued a little bit. They both don't have a Big 12 opponent, so they're playing each other. I've got Auburn by 5. They leave Starkville with a big win. What about you?
Well, George, I don't know if you remember back in the they played Duke and they played Kentucky, and they lost to Duke by like 4 and Kentucky by 2. So they can definitely hang with the great team. So I have Auburn in that game by actually close game by 1.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Our fourth game, also in the Big 12 SEC Challenge, Florida travels to Fort Worth, take on the Horned Frogs, TCU. TCU looked really good early in the season. They've kind of petered out a little bit, but and so that's for that reason. It's all about the chomp. The Gators going to pull away in the second half, and they get a big win by 12 points.
Dude,
what?
That's what I said.
What, Florida by 12?
Yes, Florida by 12. I was just about to change 78-66.
Yeah, I don't know. TCU's good, but I think Florida
Mhm.
They've got really good defense, and their shooting is good too when they need it. And Desmond, let's see if we go a perfect 5 for 5 here on our picks. I mean, maybe not. Let's see.
I'm already gonna say no. I
All
already
right.
know.
Well, a big road test in the ACC. Syracuse travels to Blacksburg, Virginia, to take on the Hokies, Virginia Tech. They're ranked 10th in uh, in the polls. I think it's gonna be a tough test for the Syracuse Orange, but in my mind, that Iowa State win is a more of an upset than the Syracuse is gonna beat Virginia Tech. Syracuse beat Duke last week or 2 weeks. Yeah, last week pretty handily. Syracuse by 11.
George, you must have read my notes, man, or something. I was saying Syracuse too by 9.
I think Virginia Tech is one of those teams that does not deserve to be in the top
Yes,
10.
I don't think they're a top 10 team. I
If
think
if
there'll be
anyone
that
can
there'll be
go
like
ahead.
there has to be that one team that's not ranked that like they beat them, then everyone's like, oh, they should have been in the top 10.
Right. If anyone can beat Duke and then go on the road and then beat another team on the road, it's Syracuse. And I think Syracuse is going to be one of those teams that they always find a way to make a run. They always. I mean, remember the year they went to the Final Four for crying out loud,
Mhm.
and they were what, a 10th seed? That just explains it right there. And before we go, we got an overtime period, not like a. Oh, there's the buzzer, yeah. And we
All
see what
right,
I did there. Sorry, LSU fans. Our small school outlook, Desmond. I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, George, you already
I know
know.
you
Like,
picked Davidson.
I chose Steph Curry's alma mater, and I'm not changing. They're second in the Atlantic 10. I know it's not like a great conference. They're a 5-1 conference, 14-5 overall, which is not a bad overall for considering them. They're undefeated at home, and they're on a 2-game win streak right now, and they play St. Louis tomorrow. So I need to get my cable set up on my TV so I can watch that.
Okay. I had Furman, as y'all know. I said that early. I think in our bowl season, I had Furman. I want to apologize to Furman on 2 accounts. One, they are not the Furman Tigers. They're the Palladians, which I don't even know what a Palladian is, but I apologize. I thought you were the Tigers and you were not. They were 14-2. They've kind of slumped. They've kind of, again, plateau is a great word for a lot of these teams, and therefore Furman, I'm jumping off the bandwagon. And Desmond,
Don't say it. Don't say
what?
it.
I think the best way to announce it would be. Oh, hold on. Give me 1 second as I try to stall here. Just. And for anyone who doesn't know that fight song, it's the good old school in Denton, Texas. That's right. For the first time in our first season, I'm going dual school sports. Go Mean Green in the football and go Mean Green on the court. Man, they're electric. I don't know if you've seen videos of their student section in their pit or whatever they call their arena. My gosh, it's loud and crazy. They're cruising. They're 17-3, 5-2 in the Conference USA, but realistically, they were 5 points away from being undefeated in the conference. So I'm riding with North Texas to win the Conference USA tournament, go to the NCAA tournament, and get to the Sweet 16. You heard it here first. They get to the Sweet 16, you'll know who to go to. And with that being said, I think we're gonna wrap it up. We promised we make it short. And so short and sweet. And we accomplished that just under 30 minutes. So we will catch you next week, probably midweek, not necessarily a Friday game, but a Friday podcast. But so signing off for the 5th quarter with my colleague in Lubbock, Texas at Texas Tech, Desmond McLaughlin.
Sure.
Thanks so long. I'm George Koff. And we'll catch you next week on the Fifth Quarter Podcast. Take care. Adios. And Giga Maggies.